Okay, we've come to the end of the second week of the mini MOOC on functional programming in Erlang. And what we've done this week is cover lists. We've seen how lists are built using the cons operation. We've seen how to analyse lists using pattern matching. And we've seen how to build functions over lists using recursion. So we saw a whole number of examples of that. And then we saw some live coding of the take function, of the nub function, and of the palindrome function. And in those you saw more complicated strategies for building list functions. Perhaps by deferring things to an auxiliary function, which you would then call later, or by simplifying the problem and then building the general solution on top of the simpler case. What we did in the second half of the week was you looked at some bigger problems, mainly to do with manipulating text in one form or another, which allowed you to develop a bigger program using lists in Erlang. So that's what we've done, and I hope you've learnt quite a bit from that. There is just one more thing for this week, and those are two more videos that tell us a bit about tools in Erlang. The first is about different ways of doing testing in Erlang. The second is about how we can write type specifications and have those checked using a tool. Now, while these are not strictly on the critical path through the MOOC, it will be well worth you taking a look at those two videos, and then you can think about how you can apply those techniques when you do some development of more programs next week, or indeed you can look again at the work that you've done so far with those approaches in mind. Finally, what we'll do next week is to look at higher order functions. That's functions that take other functions as inputs or deliver them as outputs. We'll look at those as ways of generalizing patterns from things that we've seen already. And we'll look at a case study of implementing a game that uses those as an integral part of its implementation. And then finally we'll pull the whole MOOC together by looking at a bigger example of language processing, where we'll use all the techniques that we've used so far to solve a general set of problems around representing, transforming, dealing with expressions in a language. But that's for next week. Okay, back to you to take a look at section 2.4 if you'd like to.